What's up everybody, you're very welcome along to this Anfield Agenda special transfer video. So what I'm going to do here is have a look at the business that the bigger clubs, or that what I believe the clubs that are finishing the top half of the Premier League have done so far in this window and what they may do, and try and balance that against the business that we've done, or the lack of business that we've done really, and see if Liverpool really are falling behind in the race for these European places and to be challenging for major honours. I'm going to do it alphabetically, so let's start off with Arsenal and look at the business that they've done. First out, they brought in Ben White, 50 million quid from Brighton. I've liked Ben White for a while now. I said when we were looking for a centre back before that, I wouldn't have minded him coming into Liverpool, but I'm also really happy with the fact that we brought in Canade. So Arsenal getting Ben White, it is somewhere they needed to strengthen, and I think it'll work out to be a good piece of business. Now, people will talk about the transfer fee, and sometimes that's important, sometimes it isn't, but obviously Arsenal's board feel they can afford it, so they splash the money. They've also brought in Nuno Tavares, £7.2 million from Benfica, and to me, actually a bit of an unknown quantity. I've got to be honest, I don't know too much about the guy, but it's a reasonable price tag. And then the other signing that they've brought in is Lokonga from Anderlecht for 19 million quid. So all in all there, Arsenal are after spending about, 76, 77 million quid on transfers, and they have of course brought some money back in. There has been some outgoings, but all in all, Arsenal have strengthened. Do I believe that they've strengthened enough to worry us in the transfer window, or to worry us in the Premier League season ahead? No. I think Arsenal will be fighting for one of the lower European positions at best. I don't think they'll break the top four, so decent business by Arsenal. Of course the window isn't finished, but for me, they're not one club I'll be looking over my shoulder worrying about trying to come in and pinch one of those Champions League positions. The next club I want to have a chat about probably aren't one of the ones you think I'm going to talk about, but I think Aston Villa have done tremendous business in this window, and it still hasn't closed. I have to caveat everything I'm about to say, of course, by saying that they've lost Jack Grealish for £100 million to Aston Villa. Grealish was their talisman, Grealish was their captain, he was at the club since he was 6 years of age, and it is a massive loss. But they have been very good in their recruitment in recent seasons, and alone this season already, they've brought in Danny Ings, 25 million quid from Southampton. They've brought in Emiliano Buendia from Norwich. Ashley Young is coming back, and they've also got Leon Bailey just about to get over the line as well. So they have strengthened, and it was interesting watching Christian Perslow speak in that video to see that they looked at the key attributes that they got from Jack Grealish and tried to replace them, not with one player, but with three players to try and, limit the need or necessity to rely on one player for those moments of magic. So Aston Villa, along with the business that they've done last year, and how well they played in the Premier League, I think they could well be challenging for a European place. When I say European place, I mean realistically along the likes of, maybe somewhere 5th to 8th perhaps, depending on if they're asked about the Europa Conference League or not. But all in all, I think Aston Villa have done good business. I've been very impressed with what Dean Smith has done and what they've done since being so close to being relegated from the Premier League. Came back with a bang last year, and I think particularly in Buendia, it's a very good signing in my opinion. They've already got Ollie Watkins at the club, John McGinn, some fantastic footballers. Traore as well has done really well for them. So Emiliano Martinez, what a goalkeeper he's been for them. So I've been very impressed with Aston Villa, and I think that they are a club that can genuinely go into the season and think, there's many reasons to be optimistic even after losing Jack Grealish. The club that probably is one of the two that worries me the most is the next one I'm going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Chelsea. Now, right now, as we speak, Chelsea haven't done much business in the window, just a free signing from Fulham, but we know that they are about to go out there and they're about to sign a striker, whether it be Lukaku, who looks like the front runner right now. Maybe they go back with another bid for Haaland, I don't know. Add to that the fact that they're about to bring in Jules Koundé from Sevilla, and you'll find yourself that they have a very, very, very good squad. This is certainly one squad that I think Liverpool are falling behind in. The additions of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Thiago Silva, many other players, Christian Pulisic in recent windows as well. I think Chelsea have done really well in the market. They've strengthened themselves right across the board, and for me, I would say yes, Liverpool are probably falling behind Chelsea as things currently stand, and I expect Chelsea to be challenging, not just of course to try and retain the Champions League, but to be right up there fighting to win the Premier League as well. So in this one, I've got to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I am very worried about the business that Chelsea have done and continue to do, on top of the fact that they've a very good manager in there now as well in Thomas Tuchel. So yeah, I'd say we've fallen behind Chelsea. The next one up isn't really a club that I think of as a rival or a danger to us in regards to a league position, but they are a neighbour, so I have to talk about Everton Football Club. They've lost Carlo Ancelotti, but they've replaced him with a guy that we know only too well, Rafael Benitez, another person who's won a Champions League. And, you know, Everton's business so far hasn't been great. They brought in Andros Townsend from Crystal Palace on a free. They brought in Begovic on a free from Bournemouth, and Damari Gray for 1.7 million from Bayer Leverkusen. So, not business that would make me tremble. And do I think Everton will be in and around the European places? No, I don't, if I'm being honest with you. The words coming out from James Rodriguez that apparently he's not happy that Ancelotti left. He was one of the reasons that he went to Everton. You know, you could see him moving on as well. So if we're looking at the neighbours, the blue side of Merseyside, I'm not worried one bit about them. I think they'll still be celebrating their win against us from last season, and I don't see them as being a club that will be fighting for the European places realistically at the end of the season. So delighted to say that I don't worry about Everton, and I don't see us falling behind them in any way, shape or form. Bit of a curveball next, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about Leeds United for a minute. Now, while you have Marcelo Bielsa as your manager, you've always got a really good foundation to build from. They've already got some really good players at the club. Calvin Phillips has just had a cracking Euros with England. Obviously, we know all about Rafinha. We were linked with him. He's going to be staying there for the season ahead. And they've come up to the Premier League and look like a team that want to stay there, push on and do well. Adding to that, the fact they've gone out in this window and signed Junior Firpo from Barcelona, somebody who you probably remember Liverpool were linked with when he was at Real Betis, so it'll be interesting to see how he settles in. They've also added Lewis Bay from Chelsea for £1.5 million and Jack Harrison for 11 million from Manchester City. So I think Leeds are trying to establish themselves as a top half Premier League club, maybe trying to push for those European places. I still think they could probably do with strengthening the goalkeeper position, if I'm being honest. But I have a lot of time for Leeds United. They're a club that a lot of my uncles actually support, and I always wish them to do relatively well, but not well enough that they're up challenging for Champions League places, of course. So I just thought I'd throw them in as a bit of a curveball, because I know a lot of people are interested in Leeds United and the business that they've done in recent windows. So I think the biggest achievement they've had is keeping Marcelo Bielsa there, because any manager worth his salt will tell you what a quality manager Marcelo Bielsa is. So Leeds United, I hope they're challenging for a European place. Obviously one of the lesser European places, because I don't want anybody breaking into that top four and trying to oust us. But all in all, I think another decent window from Leeds United as things currently stand. The next club up, ladies and gentlemen, is, in my opinion, a club that have done some of the best transfer windows over the past few years, Leicester City. I've always rated Rodgers as a manager. I think the Liverpool job came too early in his managerial career, and whilst he always does seem to have a bit of trouble in European competition, I think he is a fantastic coach at bringing in younger players and improving them and turning them into even better players, and I think that Leicester got themselves the right man at the right time. Add to that the business that they've done. So they lost Harry Maguire previously to Manchester United. They went out there and they signed the likes of Sayuncu. They signed Fofana, who unfortunately had that broken leg and that horrible tackle in the game against Villarreal, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But their business has been absolutely top notch. Indeed, he was an amazing signing for them. The goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel, the man that leads the club, I mean, he has been steady as a goal for them. But then look at what they've done in this window again. Patson Daka from Salzburg, a player who I and many other Liverpool fans would have happily had at the club, and indeed thought that we were perhaps going to try and move for. Leicester City did move for him for 23 million quid, adding to some great players they already have there, like Yuri Tielemans, Jamie Vardy, and you start to see that Leicester are probably the closest club to breaking into those Champions League spots. They've missed out narrowly, agonisingly for Leicester City fans over the past couple of seasons. Yes, they did go and win the FA Cup, which is fantastic for them, the first time they've ever done that. They've brought in Samare for 17 million quid from Leeds as well, and Ryan Bertrand on a free transfer from Southampton will give them adequate cover in that left back position as well. So I think these are probably the best placed of all the clubs outside of the top four to once again go and make a challenge. As I said, they were agonisingly close over the last couple of seasons, and if anybody is to break in and displace Manchester United, City, Chelsea or Liverpool, I think Leicester City probably are the club that are best placed to do it in the upcoming season. So then we come to our own club, Liverpool. Very quick, very brief on this one. What have we really done to strengthen? We've brought in Ibrahima Kanate for 36 million quid from Leipzig. And you know what? I've got to be honest, I don't even see this as a signing for this window. I see this as us making up for the lack of replacing Dejan Lovren in the last window. So as it stands right now, it's very short in Liverpool. We could make one or two more signings before the window closes, but look, I couldn't do a transfer window roundup without talking about our own club. But I'll get the end of this video will be the part where I tie it all together and try to figure out if we have indeed lost ground on our rivals and if we've had to worry about going into the new season. Manchester City, ladies and gentlemen, a name that provokes a bit of emotion in some of us for varying reasons. Obviously, they were so close to a Champions League win last year, and I'm still delighted that he didn't do it. I won't lie, I didn't want them to win it. I don't ever want them to win it, and I hope that they don't win it again this year. But putting my saltiness aside, let's look at the business that they've done in this window. We know that they've signed Jack Grealish for a British record £100 million, which means we no longer have to listen to them saying, oh, we've never been somebody that's went out there and spent over 60 million quid on a player. The fact that the mean average of the players that they have signed is 43 million quid doesn't seem to matter. They've signed Jack Grealish, 100 million quid. Very good signing, but I think they overpaid. We know why they had to pay 100 million, because that was the agreement in place with Aston Villa and Jack Grealish, that if a Champions League placed club offered that money and Jack wanted to move, they wouldn't stand in his way. They've also signed Matinho, 5 million from Fluminense, a bit of an unknown on that one. Kaki, 9 million from Fluminense, and Scott Carson on a free from Derby. Yes, that's Scott Carson. He is still playing football, amazingly enough. The Scott Carson who was in goal when we played Juventus at one point all those years ago, back when we won the Champions League. So am I worried about Manchester City? Well, yes, of course. You're always worried about Manchester City because you know that they are a club whose owners have bottomless pockets. They've got a very good manager. They already have a fantastic squad. And this is before we look at the fact, yes, they've lost Sergio Aguero, one of the Premier League goal-scoring greats, but there's talk of them going out to try and sign Harry Kane, and that frightens the bejesus out of me and many other football fans. So already they've done good business, and they probably will move players on. There's talks of the likes of Bernardo Silva, maybe Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus even moving on, and some younger players that they'll sell to try and recoup some money. I think Guardiola said that they plan on bringing in about 60 million quid's worth of sales from the younger players. So let's wait and see how that pans out. But right now, even before they may sign Harry Kane, quite a bit of money spent there by Manchester City, £114 million as the window currently sits. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United. To me, my bitterest rivals, the club that I always want us to be. Yes, there's a respect there, but there's obviously a rivalry there as well. Manchester United have done some very good business. Now, while the signing of Rafael Varane hasn't technically been announced, we know it's coming, so I'm going to include that in this video. So they signed Rafael Varane for less than 40 million quid, which is a very good piece of business for an established 26-year-old World Cup winning, Champions League winning defender. They've also signed Jadon Sancho, one of the hottest young talents around Europe, for 73 million quid from Borussia Dortmund, and they brought in Tom Heaton on a free as well from Aston Villa. So the two main signings there are, of course, Rafa Varane and Jadon Sancho, and it doesn't look like United's business is going to stop there. They want to bring in a central defensive midfielder as well. So we already finished behind United last year for, varying reasons, but I am worried about the business that they're doing, and I do think, again, I stand over what I say, that I do think it'll be us, United, City and Chelsea in that top four, but have they had a better window than us? Yes, they are. Are we starting to lose some ground on them? I don't know. I genuinely think we still have a very good squad, but have I been worried by their business? I'd be lying if I said I hadn't been. Yes, it's been a good window from them. You know, the kickback against their owners has been something that's been going on for a long time. The Super League fiasco fed into that even more from both ourselves, United fans, and many other football fans around the world and in the UK. And at least United's board have seemed to have listened to some degree and gone out there and made a statement in the window. So Manchester United, unfortunately, have indeed moved ahead and strengthened in this window. The last club I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Tottenham Hotspur, a club that may well lose Harry Kane. They may well keep Harry Kane. That remains to be seen. They've tied Son down to a new deal, which is good. They've lost their manager, Mauricio Pochettino, obviously to Paris Saint-Germain, and they've brought in Nuno Espirito Santo from Wolves, who is a good manager, but not a manager that I think is good enough that will push them back up into challenging for the Champions League places. Now, looking at the window and the business that they've done, they've signed Christian Romero, 47 million from Atalanta, somebody who I've watched a bit of, mainly at the Copa America playing for Argentina. We were actually linked to him for a while. A decent centre-back signing for them. Originally, they wanted to get Jules Koundé. They couldn't make that deal happen. They've also brought in Brian Gill for 21.5 million quid, along with Eric Lamela for Sevilla. So again, if you add in what Lamela's worth there, probably a 40 million quid signing or upwards of 40 million. And then they've brought in Golini, who is on loan with a view to buy a goalkeeper, I believe, from Atalanta. So Spurs have done some okay business. Not enough that I think that they're going to really close the gap and push on. And I suppose the proof of the pudding for them will really be in what happens with Harry Kane. He's released a statement to say that he's never missed training and that he'll be back at training as normal, but it does look like, to me, he's angling for a move away. So all in all, I'm not that worried about Spurs. Right, now comes the part where I tie the whole thing together. And do I feel that Liverpool have fallen behind after this transfer window, or as we currently sit in this transfer window? And I have to say, to some degrees, yes. To some degrees, no. But the important ones to me are the clubs that were going to be challenging, or that I believe will be up there challenging for the Premier League title. Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United. Have we fallen behind them in this window? Have we lost ground on them in this window? Now, bear in mind, when I say have we lost ground, I don't mean do I necessarily believe that we will finish behind them. I mean, have they done more better business than us, improved their squads than us, and will they come out of the window more happy than us? Unfortunately, the answer to all three of those is yes. I do believe we've lost ground on every single one of them as things currently stand. I'm aware that the signing of Konate is brilliant. I fully expect Harvey Elliott to have a great season. Being able to call on Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez is amazing. And if we can keep Naby Keita fit, if Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain can stay fit, having crowds back inside Anfield, and, bringing through some more young players, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. But after the Super League fiasco, after the fact that, we've been known as next year FC, I genuinely thought that there would be a couple of statement signings in this window. Maybe naively, maybe I thought that seeing what, Kroenke has done there at Arsenal after their fans kicked up, signing 50 million for Ben White and the others that we've spoken about, seeing the business that Manchester United's board have done and the business that Manchester City are currently doing on top of Chelsea, I do have to say, I think we'll finish top four, but if I'm being honest with you right now, I think it would be Manchester City and Chelsea that will be challenging for the Premier League. And look, you can never rule us out in Europe. We're as well equipped as anybody to go into the European Cup and, see how far we can go. I think all the English teams that are qualified for the Champions League will do well. But as of right now, I'd be lying to you folks if I said I wasn't worried. Still time left in the window. Still time for this to be resolved. And look, I'll never underestimate the brilliance of Jurgen Klopp and the mentality of this group of players that we have at the club. But we should have been strengthening from a position of strength, and I think that this may come back to haunt us in years to come. Yes, we have brought in some good players. We've brought in a young lad from Newcastle. We're just about to sign him as well, Bobby Clark, the son of Lee Clark, a former Newcastle great. We've got Kate Gordon, who looks really well coming through as well. We've got the likes of Caoimhín Kelleher, who signed a new deal, Harvey Elliott, obviously, who signed on, Musialowski. So there's lots of optimism there for the future. But with regards to bringing in players for the here and now who could come right in and help or challenge this for a starting 11 place, I feel like we've really let ourselves go in that department, and I see the signing of Canade as one that just makes up for the mess of last year. So I hope there's still more to come, but right now, as things stand, I do think we've lost ground. And I don't like to say it, but as always, ladies and gentlemen, you know I'll give you my honest opinion. I'd love to know your thoughts on everything that I've spoken about in this video. Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well, and I will be back for the watch along of the game on Sunday. Coverage starting at 3:30 p.m. here on Anfield Agenda. I'll be joined by Mr. Connor Crosby as well, so really looking forward to that one. Have yourselves an amazing weekend. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you, take care, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Up the Reds.